introduce Bob's brother, Dick Lehmann. He's a preacher too, and married to my cousin of Island. We're just glad that you're here, Dick. So go do your thing.
Thank you, Arnold. Yeah, my voice is disappearing here, so we'll try to hang on for a while. But this sharing thing is something that I did in my ministry in Iowa for a number of years. We'd have the family get together before the service, and there'd be a sharing of memories. And I find that to be a very healing kind of thing, and a healthy thing to keep those memories alive. So that's what we invite you to do tonight. Come and share the memory that you have of AUDRA. So let's begin with prayer. Well, Lord our God, we give you thanks for all that you promise and all that you give. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, for coming into our world, into our lives, sharing your love in such a special way, a love that nothing can separate us from, and a love that we saw so evident in AUDRA, and a love that continues to shine forth from her even as she is gone from here. But we thank you for the lives she touched, for the ministry that she carried out, for the wonderful things that God used her for in her life. And so we celebrate her memory. We celebrate her life here and her new life as well. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we invite people to come and share something. Most everyone here, I know, has been touched by AUDRA's cards and letters and notes. Drove around a little bit in Dubuque today, but I didn't get by the post office. I really expect that they have the flag at half-mast because they are mourning the loss of their prime residential customer. But she did so much with those notes and cards and letters. So as the Spirit moves you, please come up and share memories that you have. Not all at once. Okay.
Some of you asked, well, who are your kids and who's your family? I do want to introduce a few people. AUDRA's sister Ann is here from Janesville, Wisconsin. Ann, where are you? Ann, yes, is here with her daughter, and also her brother David from Ocala, Florida. David is here, barely standing there, except for his hair. His hair is standing a little bit. Okay, and my children. I don't think Kent is here. Is Kent here?
No, tomorrow. He didn't come tonight.
Okay, Joellen is here, yeah. Kent just had hip surgery. But Linda is here from Jefferson, Iowa. Linda Holt. And Barb Nash, also from Jefferson.
Oh, I'm short, sorry.
Okay, thank you, Barb. And Mark Lehmann is standing at the back, and Mark and Karen were responsible for helping Deb put together the whole display that you saw. I hope you saw it. Mark lives in Waverly, and Brian is coming tomorrow. Even though suffers from Lyme's disease and still struggles to get to family events, and plans to do that tomorrow from Houston, Minnesota. And Grant is here from Michigan. Yeah. Now we're ready for the sharing.
All right, let's have somebody start things off here, please. All right, good.
Show everybody who you are.
My name is John Paquette, and my wife Kathy is with me tonight. And I guess there's a couple things I just wanted to share. Interestingly enough, we met Bob and AUDRA when they moved back to Dubuque in 1994, which is not the interesting part, but we'd come from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I was attending seminary that fall, and Paul Bauman said, hey, I think my aunt and her husband he's retiring, you should look them up. And we said we would, but realizing that probably that might not happen, Dubuque's big enough and we might be busy. And as it turned out, we ended up living right next door to them. As they shared, and we got to meet them out and about. They had moved into the house across the street from the seminary, and we were in the house next door about themselves. It just dawned on us as they were sharing that these were the very people that Pastor Bauman had told us to look up. So I'm very grateful for that because of something that you had already mentioned as well. I went to seminary. I went out into the church, and I had a problem with alcohol, and I had to leave ministry for a while. And I'm only telling you that to say that those same cards and letters that you talked about kept coming, every year, without fail. On a birthday, Bob and AUDRA came down and saw us in Alabama, where I was at a call. But anyway, when I left ministry for a while, she was still sending those cards and letters, reaching out. And we returned to the area some years later and had picked up visiting again. And lastly, I'll just share this. Last spring, I guess, I was coming for the Tri-State Forums, and I think, Bob, you were singing in the chorale that night, and I got to spend an hour or an hour and a half with AUDRA by myself. She did share in detail about the accident from many years ago, but as I've returned to ministry, I said to her, I don't really know what my ministry is. She said, you don't have a ministry. And I was, well, yes, I do have a ministry, but she reminded me that it's Jesus' ministry. And she said, you don't have a ministry, it's his ministry. And I hope to try to remember that for the rest of my life, and I'm grateful to her and to you, my friend. God bless you.
No, I will thank you for breaking the ice. That's what he said he just did. I wanted to mention a few other people since there are a few extras here, and Jeff can be mad at me, but I think we should introduce AUDRA's son, Jeff Jacober, who is back there by Mark. I'm Karen, Mark's wife. Jeff's wife, Terry, and AUDRA's grandson Thomas is here, so put him on the spot. And Andrew AJ was unable to come, but that's the other grandson. And so I married into this family, and AUDRA's the only grandmother my children have known. I come from a family where there were like 7 of us, I believe, when you count it up. And so this is a gigantic family I've been pleased to be part of, and I think it would be very interesting. Just wave your hands if you're related to the Peters. Okay. If you're related to the Jacobers. Whoa, okay. If you are related to the Yeagers. How about the Lehmanns? Okay, did I miss anybody's name? That was why AUDRA had so many names, because she touched so many different people, and I'm very proud that she was my mother-in-law.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm Ivana Lehmann. Dick is my husband. Bob is my brother-in-law. And yes, the cards have been wonderful. You knew every birthday, anniversary, you'd get a card from Bob and Audra. But the neat thing was, holiday time, they received so many Christmas cards. And during the year, you would take a card in the morning, read that card, say a prayer for the people, and then send a note. We prayed for you today. Our children mention that and think it's wonderful. So,
Audra sent the note.
but you helped. You prayed for us. I want to tell you one quick little funny story. Bob and Audra came out to Seattle. We moved there 9 years ago. And you came out shortly after we moved there. Well, Bob had sent the luggage by FedEx, not trusting the airlines. Well, it didn't arrive. And we waited and waited. Well, Audra thought maybe she'd need some clothes, and of course, I would encourage her that she needed things. So we went shopping to Macy's. Macy's had a gigantic sale. Racks, racks, racks. So she pulled off some things, and while she was in the dressing room, I continued to just pull things, and her dressing room was full of clothes. Like I said, it was a tremendous sale. She had 7 garments that she wanted to buy, some really nice things. We get to the counter, and the clerk says, this is your lucky day. We have another sale beyond this. So here we are waiting, she's figuring it up, and with tax, for seven garments, it was $20. And it was mentioned about her laugh. She just let loose with this loud, loud laugh. We stood there laughing, and the sales clerk joins us. So with tax and everything, $20, 7 garments.
Okay, we'll wait for you. Yeah, I don't think they sent luggage that way anymore after that.
Hello, my name is Lois. My maiden name was Philippi. Some of you remember that name. And my married name is Sapalo. And Audra and I were friends for many years, and we taught for, I think, 4 years in Waverly. And she was teaching in the public school. I was teaching at St. Paul's. We got to be very good friends and sang in the choir together, did all these wonderful things together. And one of the things I will always remember is Sunday meals, because she was always inviting me for, and I'm sure Jeff remembers too, it was a pot roast. She said, okay, come over for pot roast, and we'd have pot roast. And then there were times when she had to go away for a little while, and she didn't quite trust those 2 kids at home, so she asked me to be the babysitter, but we could not use the term because they were furious to hear that I was going to babysit them. So I was house sitting. I didn't babysit them. So I also wanted to mention that I was the organist for their wedding. And I remember that day very well because I think all of the children got together and they did a song in the front. I think it was Simple Gifts, wasn't it, I believe? One of them, yes. And I always remember that. One other thing I just thought I'd mention is that both of us were very good friends with Dr. and Mrs. Lehmann. And they moved up to Northfield in their later years. And Audra and I went up there one weekend to see them. We had a wonderful time with the Lehmanns. I just have to add one little side thing. I also took choral conducting from him, and I directed choirs at St. Paul's, and especially children's choirs. And if in those days descants were kind of in, every time I would have the children do a descant, he would wait for me at the bottom of the steps and said, "Lois, why are you doing that? You know how I hate those descants." And he would, so we always had a big discussion about that. But anyway, I just have many wonderful memories of Bob and Audra both, and I will miss them dearly.
Hi, I am Marie Sundet. My husband is Wally, sitting back there. We live in Cedar Rapids, and we first knew Audie when she was with Jake, and that was in Casson, Minnesota. We moved there at the same time. Our husbands both were elementary teachers, and what I remember the most about Audie there was her wonderful big alto voice. And we got to sing alto together in our little church choir in Casson. And every Tuesday night, 5 of us would pile into somebody's car and go to Rochester to sing, to rehearse with the Rochester Symphony Chorus. And that was great fun, always to sing with Audie. She was a great alto. And about music, she was very serious about it. She took it seriously as a gift, and she did it for a gift. She's somebody that I think was gifted with giving. And she kind of would quote Luther fairly often and say something like, I'm not sure this is exactly right, next to the Word of God, the noble art of music is the greatest treasure in the world. That's how much she enjoyed and respected good music and did a good job of it. She had other treasures in her world as well. One was her complete love and acceptance of everybody, other people, friends and family. She just totally accepted everybody the way they were and loved them for all that she could. Another treasure was her willingness to follow her Lord, which she did. And she now is experiencing joy, of course, that none of us has experienced yet, but we will. And we thank God for that, and we thank God for Audie.
Hey, we've got time for more.
Hi, I'm Kim. I'm kind of representing my family too, the Wild family from church here. We moved to Dubuque 13.
Wild is their name, that's not a...
We moved to Dubuque 13 years ago, and the first people to greet us at the church were Bob and Audra, and they have been a huge part of our life since then. Audra always had this smile on her face and was always kind of feisty some Sundays too. And she was always a busybody. If you were trying to talk to her even after church, somebody would come up and like take you away from her because they wanted to talk to her too. Or she'd be helping out doing something, we'd turn around and go, "Where's Audra?" Like, she just kind of wandered off a lot too. My grandparents don't live around here, so Bob and Audra are kind of like my adopted grandparents, and they were always people that always asked what was going on in my life and how I'm doing and stuff. And actually for my graduation, Bob and Audra gave me this little stone, and it has an angel on it, and it says prayer, and it's one of those things, I may just throw in a drawer or whatever, but they've meant so much to me and have done so much for me that I kept it out in a place where I could see it all the time. So, thank you.
coming from all directions here now.
Hi, my name is Donna Odell, and I've known Bob and Audra for, well, we came to Holy Trinity about 10 years ago, and we met them probably right away, and I've just always admired them because they're just those kind of couple that you always look up to. They're always together, and the love that they have with each other just shines so strong, you know, and you sort of always think, gosh, that's the way I want to be when I get that age. But I've got so many good memories of Audra. I was a Stephen minister with her, and her leadership in that group, especially like when Cheryl couldn't be there, was really very welcoming, and she was always led the group really well. Gave us a lot of good advice. My last visit with her was quite special. I went down the week before she passed away, and it was her first time up after the heart attack, and between the physical therapist and myself and Bob, we got her up, and she walked all the way to Canada. And I want to tell you how far that was, because her room, you walked out of her room, and about 30 feet across the hall was this huge big poster that said Canada. So I just told her, I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to brag on you that you got up the first time after your heart attack, and you walked all the way to Canada. And then she got to sit up in the chair, and Bob gave her one of the best foot rubs I think she's ever had. But anyway, we're all going to miss her, and because she touched everybody's life here. Everybody she met, I'm sure, she touched their life, and Bob's the same way. He's very special to us. We like taking them, you know, we went to several concerts together. They like going to things, and we do too, so we'd say, let's go together. So I hope we can keep doing that.
Well, I have a couple of questions. I would like to have you raise your hand if you've ever been hugged by Audra. My goodness, all right. I can't imagine that. How about raise your hand if you or someone in your family has ever gotten a card from Audra and Bob? Yeah, pretty amazing, huh? I have had the pleasure of knowing these folks and working with Bob for a while. And I met them pretty much soon after my mother died. So guess who became my mother? Yeah. And my dad. We've had a great time together. And I was thrilled when Audra said she would become a Stephen minister. That was something that Pastor Flater and I decided we thought could help our people at Holy Trinity. And she has been a Stephen minister for, well, since 2007, and has done a fabulous job. And she taught all of us how to love unconditionally, and we will miss her.
And your name is?
Oh, Cheryl Rose.
My name's Terry Eckhart. I'm at Holy Trinity Lutheran Church here, but I don't know if you guys all know what a cut-up she was. I've known her for a few years, and I always knew her as a very, sedate and lovely lady and all this. And then she asked myself and a couple of people from her choir to entertain at one of the women's Christmas things. You always get to Lutherans, you always eat and entertain, right? And so we said, okay, it's just going to be a little song about Christmas. Okay, it was all right. I should have known right then, with that little glint in her eye, that something was amiss. So after we told her we would do it, then she gives us this music that was this totally irreverent song about the three kings with rather strange costumes, and it was not very religious.
But, uh-oh.
I do want to interrupt Dr. Eckert. It is on YouTube. Just go and say, Dr. Eckert, irreverent, and you'll find it. It's still out there.
Of course, she never was on stage, or she was always the director. So her reputation was not sullied, only ours. And we loved her for it.
Somebody else we kind of recognize here. Yes, I'm the Lehmann of the Lehmann family. Being the only non-minister that I did start out, I went to pre-theology, but decided against it and went into the airline business. Some of you know that. And so I know these guys all my life. And I know AUDRA enough that she pretty much became a sister, very much so. Came up here a lot. And I guess I followed them around quite a bit too. Well, both these guys in their different ministries. We've taken a few trips together, especially when Bob couldn't drive too far. So we had some good times together. I was going to come up for Christmas, and that was before they had their meeting with the doctors. And then after that, AUDRA said, well, you probably shouldn't because there won't be anybody at home. So we had to wait, but that didn't work out so well. But I was recalling every once in a while when I was at the house, and more than likely AUDRA would be writing cards and notes, and we'd be sitting at the table drinking coffee and talking, and all of a sudden she would look up and say, Bob, where are you? And there'd be no answer. And she'd turn to me and says, I keep telling him, I think he's having a hearing problem. You should get a hearing aid. And that was happening a few times, but I think it was just the acoustics in the house. But yeah, I definitely have a lot of wonderful memories about her. And we'll certainly miss her like all of you have. So we have to say goodbye, I guess. And thank all of you for coming. It's really wonderful. Thanks. Another.
Well, I got to get my 2 cents worth in here. Also a member of the Lehmann family. Told many people that I'm a layman and never could be a pastor, but I am ordained. But AUDRA was a senior at Wartburg College when I was a freshman. I never got to know her at that time, but I think she remembered me. I must have really been impressive. No, I'm not sure that really happened. But that connection to Wartburg College has been such a significant passion for her, and one of the beautiful things that my wife and I shared at homecoming was being able to hear the Wartburg Choir sing with its newest director, conductor, and Bob and AUDRA reminding the conductor of what kind of a history the Wartburg College Choir has, and you better keep it up. that was a very, very important part of their life. The story about the 7 garments and the $20 that went for that, I think just solidified the fact that Audra could never pass up a garage sale. That was also a passion of her life as well, and I know my wife enjoyed a few of those times with her as well. But a great lady, and great memories that we have of her, and we too will miss her very, very much.
Questions and a few answers here for Dad. And from a unique point of view, when I was 19 or 20, and I didn't know a lot of what was going on, but I heard a little bit of whisperings. Dad needs to meet this person, and from the other side of the family, from Jeff's family, oh, Mom needs to meet this person. Well, it happened. I was young, and there was Oktoberfest, I believe, and I don't know what time of night it was, and I'm not sure if we were supposed to chaperone Dad or not, but they met at the beer tent, I believe. I'm not sure about that, but it was 11 or 12 o'clock at night by the time they were supposed to be where they're supposed to be, and I don't know. So I just am awful glad that they did. And we got to go over to where Audra was living. I think Jeff and Mark and Brian and I, we had supper one night, and it was the first time we really got to meet Audra, and oh man, we just looked forward to that time so much. And that was really great.
Okay.
I offered Audra a ride home that night. Brian had my car. I took her home anyway.
Maybe it's a good thing Brian had the car. Yeah. But there would be different times when Bob and Audra would come over, and remember a time when Audra's mom was along too. I think we met in the Amanas. Our youngest son Tom was going to the University of Iowa. He met us there. And we were just going to get together there and then go our separate ways. Well, all of a sudden we hear that they're coming to our house. Well, that was okay. We weren't really prepared for that, but I think Audra was a little unpredictable that way. They were at our house for a while, and then all of a sudden they're talking about, well, I think we'll go to Chicago. And Audra's mom is saying, I never know what these people are doing. I didn't even get to bring my toothbrush along. Somebody else. Well, there are many, many more stories out there, I know. And we encourage you to keep sharing these stories. It doesn't just end tonight or tomorrow. Audra was very much part of your lives. And you keep her alive in that way with those memories. So keep telling the stories. Share them with Bob. Share them with each other. Keep the stories going. And in that way we really show how much Audra meant and still means to all of us. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your sharing. Anything more, Bob?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jeff and Terry and Thomas, Forgot to introduce you at the time. Thanks, Karen, for remembering to do that. They came all the way from Tulsa, Oklahoma, after Thomas flew in from Texas. So they've come a long way today. Yeah.
Dad, you can make it up to us by telling why you really got married at the time you got married. 714.
We got married June 14th, 1975, at 7:14 in the morning. It wasn't just to get Lois Apollo up to get to the organ that early, and it wasn't because David Peters, it was not because of some hotel room, but it was the time that people would remember, and still do. We thought, well, we announce it, and they'll think, well, did they say 7 or did they say 7:30? 14. That did it.